And then I met a whole nother world. I was like, you can dive as deep as you want to. You've got to get entrenched to the truth of like those individual communities that exist, like you said.
Also, you need to think about what's being created in Miami for the visitors and the tourists, and what's being created for the locals. And live music for a long, long time only existed, quote unquote, if you will, in Miami Beach. That's where people would go. So people would create all this nightlife for people visiting, not necessarily the locals. And then you had the American Arena Stadium, which is now the FTX. But those are big, big acts that not everyone can afford. I was really looking forward to going to the Camilo concert at the Fillmore, and I said to my mom, come to Miami and I'll invite you to the Camilo concert. And then when I went to get the tickets, it was almost sold out and tickets were $200+. And I'm like, Camilo, I love you, but I'm not paying $200+ because it's not attainable right now. Yeah. Right? And that's really difficult. So what's the underlying?
It was 3 dates.
It was 3 days, sold out those 3 days. Like, Camilo. You know,
people are also desperate to get back to seeing live shows, to hearing their favorite artists. Like, people just need that human connection again, and they want to be. So they're like, everything is selling out. If you think about it, like 3 Points sold out. Every festival, every music, anything is selling out because people need to go to things. Fever comes out with events and they're sold out. Why? Because people want to go to stuff before it gets taken away from them again.
People are paying for the experience.
They're paying for
and the experience economy, which is changing everything. And going back to finish my point on what's been created for locals and tourists, then you had Wynwood, which you know, it's an art center of Miami, and you had El Patio, which was bringing people. But still, what are the types of artists you're seeing at these events? These are like either mega artists, mainstream artists, or developed artists. There's nothing really for the undiscovered artists, which is how they're defined in the industry, which are emerging independent artists that are known by some people in the community locally, but besides that, they're not really known. And that's 91% of the industry. We're talking about more than 3 million musicians that don't have the access that they need to thrive from their music and live from it. So it's like the chances of them performing for an audience that's willing to pay, it's very, very little. So they end up performing at restaurants, corporate events, weddings, where their music has a background. No one's paying attention to you, and you're obligated to play covers. Because that's what moves tables.
Oh yeah,
and that's what gets the party going.
That was what I wanted to get into because you had mentioned like mega acts and all this stuff, but then you can make a decent living, you know, doing 3-hour bar gigs. But again, then you're playing covers, but you know, there definitely is something special and a long-standing tradition to playing covers because, like, you know, I think like it's something like all the Sublime songs were all basically covers, and you know, Bob Dylan did a lot of covers, like, you know, and again because they were like no one even knew, and back in like Ireland and stuff. No one even knew who wrote the songs. It's just like the songs y'all sing around the campfire type stuff. So where do you guys find that balance? Because, I mean, what happened when the Strokes at 3 Points played like some of their hits? Like just an overwhelming like sense of happiness that, oh, this is my song. I know like what's coming next. Like you must slip a couple covers in there every now and then. How do you balance that?
Definitely. But I can tell you that especially Musicasa is one of the first times that I felt that my never heard about songs were welcomed and were actually listened to.
Yeah.
So like when I started singing my songs that were never sang before, not even by me anywhere else in any other venue, I noticed how people listened to it, how people reacted to every line, every punchline, every word that I was singing. And actually, when you're a composer, when you write your own music, is one of the things that actually fulfills you the most.
Absolutely.
Because you feel like, okay, you're getting what I'm trying to say in this way that I'm trying to say it. And I've never gotten that feeling in a big venue that I've ever performed, like, oh, let me play you this song that you've never heard of as a gift, you know? It's like you're giving them like the, how do you call this, primicia?
Premise, like the premise?
Like
premise?
Yeah, like you're giving them, it's like a bonus of what's coming, you know?
Yeah, it's the premise of it, essentially.
And people don't appreciate it. You're better off singing stuff that the people already know, even if it's your own stuff. If your audience knows the songs in a big venue, they're gonna react better. That's my experience. But in Musicasa, it's very different. People are there listening to you and paying attention in a way that they wouldn't in another situation. Or in a restaurant, people go to a restaurant to eat, to have drinks, to talk to the people they go to the restaurant with. Bars are the same things.
It's not the primary focus.
Exactly.
They add it because they know that it's going to make people more. It adds to the experience of the eating and the drinking, but and it adds to the bonus that if in one occasion they want to sing, they can sing, but they're not there for that person. And I love that you're touching upon this because I think I know there's an education factor for sitting in discomfort when, as a human being, like going back, like. Let's talk human psychology. Like, people like what they know. And when you give them something they don't know, they feel uncomfortable. So you as a musician, you gotta go through the journey of having fans not necessarily like you at that moment because you're singing something that they don't know.
Emotional turbulence.
Exactly. Because they need to learn that there's more beyond the things that you know. Like, think about music curation. People are lazy. People don't go to Spotify to discover music. They want music discovery playlists. They want the release radar. They want the new music Friday that Spotify is giving you. And they're doing and trying to do an amazing job from an algorithm perspective to make sure that you're getting to know new artists and new music. But people don't want it. So that's why you need to have platforms that take upon that level of education so that they can expand their music knowledge and they can expand their music taste.
And you're creating a full experience. Like a Capri salad in Miami Beach is not the same Capri salad you get in Italy. No. Even if it's the same salad, it's the surrounding. And I think that's I think that's analogy. That must be what is happening, because if you find people are really listening to your songs, it must be that atmosphere that you're creating with this homeward bound, this homeward feeling.
Yeah, I mean, there's 60,000 songs uploaded to Facebook every day. That's one song every 5 seconds.
I love this so much because I think that the musicians don't have a voice. The majority, that 90% that you're still talking about. Because if you have money and you're already getting listens, you're going to get pushed to the front. That's just the way of the world. That's what we're talking about is happening with all these social media apps, that they're giving you what they want to give you because it's what's already gaining attention. So it doesn't leave room for people to explore. This is part of the conversation we were having earlier about belonging and losing our track because of all this massive exposure of technology and access to everything that we don't know what we like. We only know what they're showing us we like. So it's hard for you to explore. It's hard for you to step out comfort zones. You need to be in a growth mindset, doing the work, per se, to be interested in new things outside of what's trending. It requires you stepping outside of the social media world and going into community, spending time with family. Think culturally, where did we hear music from? And I'm Cuban, so the three of us in this room, 4, John, are like Hispanic. So growing up, it was like the music that I heard, my family dancing to. Right. And, Cubans, salsa, that's our thing. So, music was big. Music was the only thing we had when there was nothing. When there was no resources. Music was the happiness that brought us together, playing dominoes or dancing casino. That was the heart and soul. So, I cannot live without a lot of those songs that when I hear them, they make me cry. And I cannot believe that I remember them because they're ballads. Ballads, Cuban, not even Cuban ballads, ballads. And I'm how do I remember? How does this trigger this emotional response? And it's because it's that, when would I have heard it otherwise? And then you step into the real world, and then it's okay, the top trending songs, what's going on in social media, what are the top songs on your Spotify? It becomes all of those new things. I don't know. I think that now that the radio is dead, we listen less to the top songs. I think there's a little bit more of a population that listens less to those songs.
I am getting triggered so much because triggered in the sense, I can talk about this for hours and hours and hours. That's why the platforms like TikTok break my heart, because they make music lose its essence. And you're creating these 10, 15, 30-second songs that catch of a longer song, and that's what people are consuming. And then when they go to Spotify and to listen to the entire song, they're like, oh, maybe I don't like all of this. Maybe I just like the 30 seconds that I can dance to on TikTok.
I have found that so many times.
My heart is breaking right now because this musicians.
I didn't realize that until kind of the pandemic started like to lower its level, and that like nightlife started to become a thing again, and I started performing at places that play these songs. Like the DJs play these songs, and then I realized I only know 15 seconds of the song. And then the rest is so different, and you maybe don't like it.
I know better songs from the 70s, 80s, and 90s than I know songs that came out a year ago.
Exactly.
I don't even know. I only know like the short liners because that's it. Like, like not even the chorus. But back then it was like everybody knows the chorus of every song. No, now you know like the one sentence, if anything.
It's crazy. That's it. I sometimes find myself listening to Shakira or to NSYNC to like go, back in the day. And I know the order. I don't realize, but somewhere in my subconscious, I know the entire song and then the song that comes next, and then even like how they breathe to go into the next song. Like, it's crazy. And I'm like, that doesn't happen anymore.
I just did that with some early Green Day albums. Yeah, Dookie and Insomniac. I was just like, I know what's going on.
I know what's coming next.
So I actually want to know from you something. How are you going to go after these young generations? Like,
that's a great question.
Because you're building something that works for, I think, the people sitting in this room. And we're talking about an age group. We're talking about lovers of music from its inception. So like, I think Generation Y still has some of it, but as more generations start to surface, and time changes, and we have more exposure to technology, and we have shorter and shorter and shorter attention spans, and because now we can swipe, skip, move along. How do you how do you instill like that music, the essence of music? How do you maintain that, and how do you attract that audience that maybe is like, oh, this is for like my parents' generation,
So you go to them with what they know. You don't go with them with the preaching that you need to respect music and essence and this is magical, because they don't know it, right? They're never
school.
Well, they're never gonna know what it is to sit in a stadium with 100,000 people to watch a show. That's not gonna be their reality, because pandemic changed the world and how we're gonna consume music in big stages, right? So you go through them through what they know, and they're gonna know two things: community. And the reason why they know community is because they live in virtual worlds where community is a driver of them connecting through either gaming or even music. Like you see all this Fortnite and bringing musicians and people creating their avatars and whatnot. Like, that's building community. You have a chat in which you're talking to people from the other side of the world. So you go through them to that. And then with Musicasa, we create an experience that's virtual that allows for that human connection to happen using music as that connector, which is something that might be different, might be not. To be quite honest, I'm not in the game of predicting the future. I am all for, and we are committed to building something that people are asking from us. And that's our community. That's our artists. That's our hosts. And those are our music lovers, no? So virtual is going to be a really, really big aspect of Musicasa. We're not doing virtual 100% today because people are asking, they want stuff in real life. And that's what we're giving them. And because we're early stage and we're setting the foundations of the company, but we know that virtual video on demand for live in real time shows, it's going to be a thing. And we're going to make sure that we're the first ones doing it, because no one else has been able to capitalize on that.
Yeah.
I think I would like to add to that I've realized that live music is one of those universal languages. Mm-hmm. And as I've been a music teacher too, I've realized that when you're playing live, it has an effect on everyone. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter if they're old or if they're kids, because kids love live music.
That is very true.
Whatever they're doing, their attention is robbed by live music if there's live music played. So I think Musicasa can do that to the younger generations very easily, because it's not the same to engage people with records as it is with live music.
I had completely forgotten that we tested Musicasa for kids last year.
Oh yeah, that was going to be a question of mine.
And it was phenomenal. We had a teacher from lives in New York, from Argentina, writes her own songs to teach English-speaking kids how to speak Spanish, and it was extraordinary. And I need to stop there because I am going to start sharing some of the business plans for Musicasa. But we have big plans. We are in a very excited
like to eat.
And I want to say, in a world where everyone's trying to make everything virtual, digital, it's refreshing to see success in something in the physical world. And I think that we need more of that. And it doesn't mean that we can't have some integration. But if we go fully digital, and we're talking about metaverses now, I mean, we've been having these conversations. Like, I think about when I'm having a stressful day, when it's really hard and I'm overwhelmed, what saves me is spending time outside.
Right.
And it's plugging in sometimes my headphones or listening to the sound of the ocean. And I go for a walk and I regain a little bit of myself, because it's like, you don't know where to go if I'm answering my phone or I'm on my computer. And then, like, everyone, I notice this, you may not have a lot of money, but everybody has a new phone. So it's like, where is the break, and where do we start to instill like human connection as a priority? We're seeing so many issues with these like social media tech companies, like with not treating their people right, and people's sense of belonging. I talk a lot about that because I think the workplace is essential, and we need to create a better workplace. People need to see in person. This full-time, like, remote is not forever. Remote is great, yes, for flexibility and to be able to have a better lifestyle, and time is better. You can manage your personal and your work life. That's more of a balance, let's say. But if you're only working remote, you're losing your social skills. Your human connection is driving. Like, look at us in the room. The reason we record this podcast in person, it's because you can't go unscripted and flow like this. Yeah. Like, I'm getting, like, you guys are making me feel emotional by the way you're explaining it, because your body reacts that way, and music makes you react, and you as an artist must see that. You must be like I always find that admirable. As a music artist, you're playing, but you could see the whole audience from where you are. And I feel like that, like, you can pinpoint that person yawning, or that person that's like with their hands like under their chin. You see so many reactions. And it's nice. So I just want to like commend you guys for what you're doing. This is why we were so excited to have you on, because it's something that I think we need more of, right?
Yeah. And you also bring these things to the metaverse too, because you do. I think you're focusing on the IRL too, and me as well. But eventually you're gonna be recording every one of these and putting it out, and we have these little phones of ours are little windows to the metaverse too, and I go with, like, Blogotech and Circle and Boiler Room and all these, like, music creation content, like, I wish I would have been there, but you can't be everywhere.
You can't be everywhere. That's why right now we don't record all the in real life concerts that we do, because it's like, if you didn't go, you missed it.
You missed it.
Like, that was your one opportunity to watch Leon in the way that he was performing that day. And then we do virtual only, right? And that was like your chance. We have those recorded. We haven't put it in online anywhere because we have a strategy for that. But eventually we've started testing hybrid this year, and it works and it doesn't work. And I'm not gonna get into details of why, but it's interesting. Our next year, we've just done a round of pre-seed money that we're about to close. And our next year is to test and iterate and launch our platform and see how this scales. So I'm really excited to share that with the world and keep growing in South Florida and Puerto Rico and then the rest of the U.S. So
where does someone go to sign up to try to attend one of these?
Yes, so they can go to our website, musicasa.com, musicasa with an extra a.com, and then on Instagram, instagram.com/musicasa. And there you'll see the entire lineup for the months to come. We have a bunch of really interesting things happening in the next 2 months for the holidays. So Leon has a Musicasa this Friday for Halloween at 12:30 o'clock in the afternoon. That's really? The earliest we've done so far.
Is that already sold out? Is that something people...
So this one's sold out. And one of our artists was nominated for a Latin Grammy for her first time ever, which Leon knows very well. Her name is Ale Moore.
Ale Moore. Yeah.
And her first time performing with us was only virtual May of last year. And then since then, she's done 7 musicasas with us at different levels. And it's just extraordinary seeing people that you admire and that are part of the community accomplishing their dreams in such a grand way. So...
Well, this has been great. I know you have to step out, and today we're going to do something different. We're going to have some live music here, but I want to thank you for being on. I think we need to definitely do a part 2 of this, and we need to continue this conversation.
I would love jamming with you guys. So
yeah, let's jam it out. Me. We have John here. Like, we've been dying to do a Infinite Attraction event, so maybe we do our own host Musicasa
out here in Alapata.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, thank you so much for being here.
Gracias.
And now before...
See you next time.
Wait, thanks. So now before we go, Leon, I want you to play us a song.
Of course.
If you can. I'd love to just do this for the audience. Give them the pleasure of listening to a podcast that has a song in it.
I wish people could see his face.
He gets Friday, but you'll tell us when your next show is.
He's known for the faces he makes when he plays the guitar, so you're in for a treat.
Yeah, let's see my voice wake up.
It's okay, refresh it.
You can do like la la la.
Yeah. Okay. ¿Y quién te entiende en esos días raros cuando te molestas y me lanzas regaños? Oh, oh. ¿Y quién te entiende si al día siguiente sales feliz, entregada, sonriente? Yeah. ¿Y quién te entiende tu bipolaridad? Si a veces tu alegría viene y se va. ¿Y quién entiende que seas tan diferente? Pareciera que a veces tú estás demente. ¿Y quién te entiende? Yeah. ¿Y quién te entiende? ¿Y quién te entiende? ¿Quién te entiende? ¿Y quién entiende tu forma de ser? Ay, dime quién comprende tu manera de querer. ¿A quién le gustarían todas tus rarezas? ¿Será que no sabían de tus diferencias? Y dime quién rayos sería capaz de pasar tanto rato a tu lado con tu enredo mental. ¿Quién pasa un día a día tratando el nudo de desatar, sin que se le ocurra un segundo el dejarte de amar? ¿Y quién te entiende? ¿Y quién te entiende? ¿Y quién te entiende? ¿Quién te entiende? ¿Y quién entiende aquel jueguito de que a veces soy el malo y otras veces tu amorcito? ¿Quién se la pasa a diario tratando de jugar? Oh, ay, porque no puede y no quiere dejarte de amar. ¿Y quién te entiende? ¿Y quién te entiende? ¿Y quién te entiende? Pues yo.
Yeah, buddy.
Wow.
Oh, wow, man.
Thank you.
And the end. ¿Quién te entiende yo?
Of course.
That was so good. That was so good.
Thank
oh
you so
man,
much.
that's the first for our show.